There was direct Prime Minister's office involvement in attempts to control the messaging around the scandal of Veterans Affairs caseworkers offering suicide to Canadian veterans instead of the help our veterans deserve and the help those caseworkers are employed to provide. And I have the government documents to prove it. I'm currently making my way through a 6,000 plus page access to information return from Veterans Affairs on caseworkers working within the agency offering assisted suicide to struggling and desperate veterans, as opposed to the care and support the agency exists to provide to our wounded warriors. Now, this whole issue was first made public after veterans came forward to fellow veterans and podcasters, Mark Meinke and Kelsey Sheeran, about their experiences with the angels of death working on the other end of the phone line at Veterans Affairs.
MAID is being seen as compassionate and empathetic in care. So what he did is...
You know, the Nazi euthanasia program started with compassion and care. Right?
I'm so glad you said that, because when I got to do trigonometry, we went to the war museums, and what terrified me the most was walking through the World War II portion and seeing the same verbiage.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, definitely.
People were telling me I was going crazy. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
No, it's the same thing.
It's identical.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
The mentally ill, the people that are, So what's
people too distressed to live.
Thank you.
Right, and the categories keep expanding.
And that's what we're seeing, the expansion.
The Veterans Affairs Ministry, as we discovered in a previous 2,000 plus page access to information filing, was completely prepared to deny the practice was happening at all until too many veterans had come forward with stories of their own. And the volume of veterans coming forward proved that the problem was systemic across the agency and not isolated to a single caseworker in a single office.
He was asking for a completely separate service and supports for neurological injuries. And she said, just by the way, if up the road you have suicidal thoughts, and this is what he told me she said, it's better than blowing your brains out against the wall.
Now, thanks to your continued support at our special access filing fund, rebelinvestigates.com, I have my hands on 6,000 plus more pages from Veterans Affairs, which indicate the intervention of the Prime Minister's office to control the messaging around the unfolding scandal of veterans being told that it was their civic and national duty to just drop dead. We can see that the government knew that there were at least 5 cases of Veterans Affairs workers suggesting that veterans should kill themselves. Look at this. That is correct. 4 cases by one employee. The case referenced in the recent ACVA, so that's the Veterans Affairs Committee at the House of Commons meeting, is not one of the 4 confirmed cases, but it is being investigated by the department. We can see on page 1529 that the Prime Minister's office is directly involved in the unfolding scandal, trying their best to dictate the language and mitigate the public relations fallout after the Canadian public learned of the violation of the covenant of care and duty with our veterans by the government itself. Look at this. Further to the request this morning, the team pulled together the attached social media posts using PMO language. We wanted to flag. The ask was for posts to be made on all social media channels. We would not recommend this go beyond our Facebook services and Twitter accounts, i.e. not recommending commemorative channels, including Instagram or LinkedIn employment account. As such, the attached only includes 2 recommended channels, but if there is a desire to put out more broadly, we can use the same Facebook copy. The copy is based on PMO approved media lines, but there are some tweaks to make it more appropriate for social media and to fit Twitter character length. On page 6256, we can see that finally the RCMP is doing their best to investigate what is happening at Veterans Affairs with regard to caseworkers counseling suicide. And the RCMP is trying to get their information the same way I do, via access to information. Perhaps this is because of lack of cooperation from the sinister folks at the VAC. But as they say, people who do nothing wrong have nothing to hide. Let's look. This is an email thread between 2 Veterans Affairs bureaucrats about how best to handle the RCMP access to information filing. Staff Sergeant Bradley sent a request to us with the file number. Unfortunately, there was a few errors on this request. I sent it back to him and hopefully I will get it back corrected and then I will forward the request to ATIP. Dan, the request should come directly from the RCMP to ATIP, not through security. Hopefully that works. If there are any concerns, please let me know. On page 6,272, we can see further RCMP involvement in what appears to be a criminal investigation into Veterans Affairs Canada. The RCMP is saying that there is yet another veteran who filed a complaint with the police force about Veterans Affairs staff trying to get them to kill themselves. Look at this. RCMP just called me, and once I revealed what this was about, a VAC employee bringing up MAID to a veteran, he stated he would bring this issue up the ranks, but to expect a little more delay. He stated that this was too political for him to reply to this situation. The corporal did tell me that there was a veteran that made a similar complaint at his detachment in, and then they block out the town of the detachment, but the file is concluded. Do we know if the veteran in question already made a complaint to the police? I did not get any further information due to privacy issues. Stand by for more information. I'm expecting a senior rank to call me back and hopefully get the proper guidance, Dan. Now, I'm not done investigating these 6,000 plus pages from this access to information filing, and I'm not done going through the previous 2,000 plus pages from my prior report, but I do think it is interesting and very telling that Veterans Affairs was able to turn over 9,000 pages of records on a practice they told the Canadian public was not wide scale or systemic. Now, I think Veterans Affairs, if I had to guess, is trying to bury me in paperwork and overwhelm me with details so that I can't pick out the fine points for you. But as you know, that stuff doesn't work on me. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Veterans Affairs is trying to drown me in paperwork, but I promise you I'm swimming right through it. If you'd like to help me offset my research and filing costs to get to the bottom of the scandal of Veterans Affairs Canada offering suicide to our veterans instead of help, please go to rebelinvestigates.com and I will do my part by continuing to dig for answers.